The needle was halfway to her arm when the doctor saw something on the monitor that made him freeze. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who'd love it too. Catherine Monroe had everything except the one thing her fortune couldn't buy: a baby. 12 years of marriage to David, 8 rounds of IVF, 4 heartbreaking miscarriages. Her body had betrayed her in the cruelest way possible. The final diagnosis came on a rainy Thursday in March. Her uterus was too scarred. She would never carry a child. David barely looked up from his laptop when she told him. He was already researching surrogacy agencies. That's how they found Sienna Blake. 26. Art teacher from Sacramento. Single mother to a 4-year-old son named Theo. She needed money for his medical bills. He had asthma, the expensive kind that required treatments insurance barely covered. The Monroes needed her body. Sienna needed their money. The contract was 70 pages long, $80,000, all medical expenses paid, 0 contact after delivery. Catherine's lawyer made sure every contingency was covered. David added a bonus clause, an extra $20,000 if she carried to full term without complications. Sienna signed without reading half of it. Catherine watched her hand shake as she wrote her name. Something twisted in Catherine's chest. Guilt, maybe. Or envy. This stranger would feel her baby kick, would carry the weight Catherine's body refused to hold. The embryo transfer happened on a Monday morning. Catherine sat in the waiting room picking at her cuticles until they bled. David was in Tokyo closing a deal. He'd sent flowers to the clinic. Roses. Like this was a funeral. Sienna lay on the table alone while strangers implanted someone else's future into her womb. 3 weeks later, the test came back positive. Catherine sobbed in her car for an hour. David sent a champagne basket to Sienna's apartment. Neither of them called her. The first trimester passed smoothly. Sienna sent weekly updates via the agency portal. Professional, distant. Exactly what the contract required. Morning sickness at week 7, fatigue at week 9. Everything normal. Catherine read each message 50 times, analyzed every word for hidden meaning. Was Sienna bonding with the baby? Did she touch her stomach and forget it wasn't hers to keep? Then came the 12-week ultrasound, the one where they'd find out the gender, plan the nursery, make it real. Catherine insisted on being there. David was in Singapore. He'd watch via video call. The ultrasound tech squeezed gel onto Sienna's barely visible bump, pressed the wand against her skin. The screen flickered to life. 2 heartbeats filled the room. Rapid, overlapping, beautiful. Catherine gasped. Twins, 2 babies, double the blessing she'd prayed for. But the tech's smile vanished. She zoomed in, adjusted the angle. Her jaw tightened. "I need to get Dr. Harrison," she said. Too quickly. Too carefully, Catherine's hands went numb. She knew that tone. Medical professionals used it right before they destroyed your world. Dr. Harrison was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much loss. She studied the screen in silence. 20 seconds. 30. Each one felt like drowning. "You're having identical twins," she said finally. "They're sharing a placenta." Catherine waited for the but. There was always a but. "One twin is developing normally. Strong heartbeat, appropriate size. But the second twin..." Dr. Harrison's finger traced something on the screen. "The second twin has severely restricted blood flow. This is called twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome, TTTS." The letters meant nothing. Catherine's brain couldn't process them. "One twin is essentially stealing blood from the other through shared vessels in the placenta. Dr. Harrison continued. The donor twin becomes anemic and growth restricted. The recipient twin gets too much blood and their heart becomes overworked. Without treatment, the survival rate is less than 10%. 10%. Catherine heard David's voice crackle through the phone speaker. Always calm. Always rational. "What's the treatment?" he asked. "Laser ablation surgery. We go in with a scope and seal the connecting blood vessels. It's delicate, risky. There's a 20 to 30% chance we lose both babies during the procedure. But without it, we lose them both anyway. Just slower." Sienna made a sound, small, broken. Her hand covered her mouth. Catherine couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. 2 babies, both dying. 1 surgery, terrible odds. The procedure was scheduled for 5 days later. Dr. Marcus Chen, top fetal surgeon in the country. He'd done 400 of these surgeries. 65% success rate, which meant 35% failure. More than 1 in 3 mothers left his operating room empty. Catherine spent those 5 days in hell. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. David flew home, but spent most of his time in his study making calls, processing grief the only way he knew how, by working. Sienna stopped sending updates. The portal went silent. Then, the night before surgery, Catherine's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "It's Sienna." Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying. They weren't supposed to talk directly. The agency had rules, boundaries, protection for everyone involved. "I need to see you," Sienna said. "Tonight, please." They met at a diner near the hospital. 2 in the morning. The only customers were a drunk couple arguing in the corner and a trucker eating pie. Sienna looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Her hand rested protectively on her small bump. "I've been reading everything I can find about TTTS," she said. "The surgery, the risks. What happens if it goes wrong?" Catherine's throat tightened. "Dr. Chen is the best. We have the best chance with him." "But it's still only 65%. Sienna's eyes filled with tears. "I know these aren't my babies. I know I signed papers saying I wouldn't bond with them. But I feel them, moving inside me. 2 little lives depending on me to keep them safe." Catherine felt something crack open in her chest. This woman, this stranger, carrying her children. She was more connected to them than Catherine might ever be. "What if something happens during surgery?" Sienna whispered. "What if I wake up and they're both gone? How do I live with that? How do I?" Catherine's voice broke. "How do I live knowing I put you through this? Put them through this?" They sat in silence. 2 women, 1 pregnancy. Impossible choices. "There's something else," Sienna said. She pulled out her phone, showed Catherine a picture. A little boy with dark curls and a missing front tooth. Theo, her son. "He asked me last night if the babies in my tummy were his brother and sister. I told him no. They belong to someone else. And he said..." She stopped, wiped her eyes. "He said it doesn't matter who they belong to. They're still babies, and babies need protecting." Catherine started crying. Real tears. The kind she'd been holding back for 12 years. The surgery happened at 7 a.m. Catherine and David sat in the waiting room. Sienna's mother sat across from them holding Theo. The little boy colored quietly, drawing pictures of babies. 4 hours. That's how long Dr. Chen said it would take. Maybe 5 if there were complications. At hour 3, a nurse came out, asked to speak with David. They disappeared down a hallway. Catherine's heart stopped. When David came back, his face was white. "There's bleeding," he said. "More than expected. They're working on it." Hour 4 passed, then 5. 6. Catherine stopped breathing normally. Each minute felt like dying. Finally, Dr. Chen appeared, still in surgical scrubs, exhausted, but his eyes were gentle. "The surgery was successful," he said. "We sealed off the connections. Both babies are stable. Both heartbeats are strong." Catherine collapsed. David caught her. She sobbed into his chest while he held her tighter than he had in years. "Sienna?" she managed to ask. "Resting. She did beautifully. Incredibly brave." The next 6 months were different. Catherine visited Sienna every week, brought food, baby books. Sometimes they just sat together. Catherine would place her hand on Sienna's growing belly and feel her daughters move. Yes, daughters. 2 little girls, fighting to live. Sienna let Theo come to appointments. He'd press his ear against her stomach and giggle when the babies kicked. Catherine bought him books about being a big brother, even though he wouldn't be. Not really. The boundaries in the contract dissolved. They became something else. Not quite friends, not quite family. Something new. Something neither of them had words for. The twins were born at 36 weeks. Emergency C-section. Both girls came out screaming, pink, healthy, perfect. Emma weighed 5 pounds, 2 ounces. Grace weighed 4 pounds, 11 ounces. 10 fingers, 10 toes, each. Miracles, both of them. Catherine held them for the first time and felt her heart explode. David cried, actually cried. First time in their marriage. Sienna was wheeled into recovery. Alone. The contract said she wouldn't see the babies. Clean break. Easier that way. But Catherine couldn't do it. She walked into Sienna's room carrying both girls, placed them in Sienna's arms. "Thank you," Catherine whispered. "Thank you for fighting for them, for surviving for them, for loving them enough to let them go." Sienna kissed each baby's forehead. Whispered something Catherine couldn't hear, then handed them back. "Take care of my girls," Sienna said, then corrected herself. "Your girls." But Catherine shook her head. "Our girls. They wouldn't be here without you. You'll always be part of their story." 3 years later, Emma and Grace had their birthday party at the park. Balloons, cake, chaos. Among the guests was a little boy with dark curls, 7 years old now, playing with the twins like they were his actual sisters. Sienna sat on a bench next to Catherine, watching the kids play. "Do you ever regret it?" Catherine asked. "Doing this?" Sienna was quiet for a moment. "I regret that I can't take away the pain you went through. But the rest? No. Those girls needed both of us. You gave them life. I gave them a chance to live it. That's not something to regret." Catherine squeezed her hand. "Some families are born, some are built, some are carried into existence by a stranger brave enough to become something more. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. We share real stories about love, loss, and the unexpected ways families are formed. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that might change how you see the world.